I got a job.
Have a good first day.
On the next episode of AMC's Better Call Saul.
The guy's story changes every time he tells it.
I'm sorry, my plans have changed.
You have something to tell me? You would be well advised to do so.
Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, I'll be breaking down and analyzing the new promo trailer for next week's episode of Better Call Saul, Season 4, Episode 4 Talk. With that being said, major warning of spoilers for everything in the show up to Episode 403, and let's jump right into this. So, the last episode was pretty crazy, and it's quite possibly my favorite episode so far this season. With all the Breaking Bad Easter eggs, finally getting to see everything with the Hummels unravel, along with watching Nacho survive a horrible near-death experience. Let's go ahead and start with that, as the next episode seems to be Gus setting up a turf war between the Salamancas and one of the other minor gangs around town or something like that. Now, when Nacho was picked up by the Salamanca twins after staging Arturo's death with Tyrus and Victor, Nacho says that the person who did this drove a silver Firebird. As we can see in this trailer, one of the Salamanca twins can be seen scoping out a silver Firebird with a pair of binoculars. So not only did Gus give Nacho a brutal but believable cover-up story, along with covering up the fact that he killed Arturo, he blamed it on a different gang for the Salamancas to instead focus their attention on. Gus gets away with murder, and his two competitors thin out their numbers on top of it. Now in episode 404, we'll see the turf war unfold that we saw in the initial season 4 reveal trailer, as Nacho gets himself mixed up deeper in this bullshit than he ever would have liked. Nacho told his dad that he was working on a way out, but now Nacho is caught between a rock and a hard place. He's betrayed the Salamancas, and Gus is blackmailing him with this knowledge. He can't turn to either side, and on top of that, he was almost killed last episode with all that BS, and now this episode, he'll be in the middle of more BS in this crazy gunfight. How lucky does the guy have to be to survive all of this? Speaking of which, the promo image of Nacho and the Salamanca twin during this gunfight was the first promo image released for Season 4, and if you zoom in on Nacho, you can notice that his lips are all cracked up, and that he's actually in a rough condition. So again, they had this right under our nose the entire time, just like the Hummel figure. So not only did we see Gus indirectly make the Salamancas convinced that it was a different gang that shot up Arturo, we even saw Gus manipulating Bolsa as he convinced him this as well, leading Bolsa to believe that someone is onto their business, causing him to run dummy rounds saying that none of their product goes across the border until they have this all figured out. Gus continued to manipulate Bolsa into making him think that it was his idea to tell Gus to pick up from local distributors, causing Bolsa to take responsibility of handling Don Eladio if he has a problem with it. Moving on, I wanted to discuss Mike at the diner talking to someone and break down who that actually is. So we've seen this clip of Mike in this shirt in previous Season 4 trailers before the season started airing, but we had no clue what he was up to. Mike's sitting there and he says, "Your guy's story changes every time he tells it, but I've been wondering since before the season even started, who could he be possibly talking to?" We know that it's during the same day that he talks to Stacy, his daughter-in-law, due to the shirt that he's wearing, but we never knew who he was talking to at the diner, at least until now. Now in the trailer you can kinda see the person's curly hair, but it wasn't until I went to the AMC website to check out the promo images. Normally AMC releases 2 preview images of next week's episode before fully releasing all of them once the episode has aired, but the image actually previewing the next episode is the one that caught my eye. You see Mike reading the newspaper and smiling while visiting with some woman in her work outfit, it looks like, but who is it? Well, it took me a minute to recognize her, as I even first tried zooming in on her name tag to get an answer. All I could see that her name begins with the letter A, and that's about it, so I was like, who the heck is this person? It wasn't until after I started really thinking of the previous seasons that I remembered Mike talking to some woman during the end of Season 3, and it turns out to be her. So her name is actually Anita, and she's a woman from the support group that Mike went to with Stacy during 2 episodes in Season 3. During episode 306, we first see Mike going there, and then afterwards, Stacy admits that she signed him up to help pour concrete to construct a new playground. Mike agrees just because he's a nice guy, and then in episode 307, we see him doing just that, and this is where he first really talks to Anita. She seems eager to help, but Mike is reluctant at first, giving everyone else a job except her, but eventually he lets her in on how to help him out. Later on in the episode, we see them at this group meeting once again, and the story about her husband's disappearance is actually what made Mike feel guilty enough to not only go dig up and call in the body of the innocent civilian that the cartel ended up killing due to Mike keeping the driver alive from his truck heist in season 2, but he also changes his mind and decides to go back up Price with Nacho, as he wanted to make sure everything went smoothly, along with confirming his suspicions about Nacho's plans to switch Hector's pills. So in a way, this is kind of the reason why he even went and talked to Nacho about his plan to sabotage Hector in the first place. So why is Mike talking to her again? I'd want to say that this could just chalk up to Mike simply wanting to become friends with her, or possibly even a romantic relationship, but this show isn't a soap opera. Mike isn't an emotional person, and I doubt that they'd literally waste screen time just having him catch up with her, so why is Mike talking to her? It's nice to see Mike have a bit of a social life, but he's a very monotone person, and Anita never appears in Breaking Bad alongside him, so don't get your hopes up too much. Maybe Stacy tells Mike that Anita wants to catch up with him or something? The synopsis of the episode states that a restless Jimmy embarks on a new endeavor while Mike burns bridges, Kim pursues her bliss, Nacho tries to survive a turf war. So, Mike burns bridges? What bridges could he possibly be burning? Is this at all related to Anita? Because I don't think it's related to Gus, since we know in Breaking Bad, Mike ends up working with Gus quite fine. Also, I'm not quite sure what Mike means by your guys' story changes every time he tells it. Is he talking to Anita about someone she knows? Is it involved with her work, or maybe someone from that very support group? Regardless, does talking to her actually push Mike's character forward, or is this just a red herring? Maybe Mike is just having lunch with her, something simple like that, when he actually gets interrupted by either the Salamancas, or maybe a call from Gus telling him to meet him somewhere immediately. Now I say that because I believe we see a preview of Gus actually speaking to Mike, as he tells him that in order for their arrangement to continue, they need to discuss something, most likely being the Hector-Nacho situation. Gus says to Mike that if he has something to tell him, that it'd be in his best interest to do so. Mike knows Nacho, and he knew about his plan to switch Hector's pills, even as far as to give him advice to switch the pills back, but Mike never ordered Nacho to do what he did. He just didn't really stop him, as Mike probably figured it to be a good way to hurt the Salamancas without directly doing anything, considering Gus told Mike to leave Hector alone in the previous seasons. That being said, it makes sense why Gus would ask Mike if he has had anything to do with it, considering Mike had such an issue with Hector during season 2. So with that being said, will Mike admit to Gus that he was aware of Nacho's plans to switch the pills, even though he wasn't directly involved? Likewise, would Gus even get mad at Mike for not stopping Nacho, knowing that Gus probably wouldn't want that? Moving on, let's discuss Jimmy's side of things. He tells Kim that he has a job at the beginning of the trailer, but is he telling the truth, or is he lying about having a job due to getting thousands of dollars from the Hummels figure? I want to say that he's going to start lying to Kim about having a legitimate job, but I don't know if he's completely given up on the job hunt yet. In this trailer, we see him wearing a shirt and a tie, and considering the clothing, we can assume that other clips from previous season 4 trailers are taken during the same day. We see Jimmy sitting at a bunch of cubicles as he gets asked if he's associated with any known criminals. We also see him getting scanned with a metal detector, along with him staring at Howard inside a bathroom. Now, in the new promo trailer, we see him turning over a "sorry we missed you" sign, along with standing in front of some sort of dessert beverage truck as it drives off. How the heck are all these clips related to each other? Is this really Jimmy's just first day at work of a new job? Maybe he actually does get a new legitimate job, and if that's the case, we'll just have to wait and see how long he can stick it out. Will he actually just grind out a bunch of honest hours, or will he end up quitting when he realizes that he can make more money doing Slip and Jimmy heists? I bet he'll start thinking about how he made $4 grand in one night off of that Hummels figure, opposed to working 5 days a week for an honest living, just like how he laid back and pondered about the possibilities that awaited him when he got $700 for getting that drug dealer out of doing community service last season. Oh, and as a side note, I'll be discussing Kim more during the sneak peek for episode 404, as that sneak peek entirely focuses on her once again. Finally, I wanted to focus on a clip that we see for just a moment, but I believe that it might be pretty damn important. We see what looks like 2 people tied up to chairs, along with someone walking up to them with a duffel bag. Is this someone walking up to question and possibly torture them to get information out of them? First off, I don't recognize the person sitting on the left, but is that Victor sitting in the right chair? Second, who is going to torture them and why, or question them, or whatever the heck is going on here? Leave any theories down below, but that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, as it really helps me out more than you can imagine. Feel free to subscribe for more Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad content in the near future, and if you'd like to take that extra step in helping support the channel, consider checking out my Patreon as well. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter too, link to both of those in the description. I'm fairly active on Twitter even when I'm not posting videos, and I'm always retweeting everything I can involving both the Better Call Saul and Walking Dead universe. But anyways guys, as always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out!